If I ask you that what is the economic highlight of India in an year, then the obvious answer would be the budget, the national budget of the country. So, hello everyone, let us talk about the national budget of financial year 2022-23 of India. So, first talking about the four pillars. Every time the government brings a budget, then there are some pillars of development. So this time there are four pillars. Number one, the inclusive development means that every person should be benefited with the government schemes and government spendings. As the PM, as our Prime Minister have always said, even since 2013-14, सबका साथ सबका विकास. So the government is keeping that thing in mind, and it has also kept this as a pillar of the budget. Second pillar is productivity enhancement. So this basically means that the government sectors and all the other sectors will be more efficient under this budget. There will be some there will be some things which will systemize more and more things, and also the overall manufacturing and service providing capability of the country will increase with by following the schemes under this budget. The third pillar is energy transition. Today, we are in an era of energy transition. The whole world, every country is looking forward to move towards green energy as fast as possible. And same is the Indian government with its high ambition. And we are working towards it also. And the government has also taken this thing into its account while preparing the budget. And the fourth and the final pillar is climate action. Climate action is the most important thing, one of the most important thing that we should take care right now, because climate change is here, it's happening right now, and the action on it must be taken by the policymakers and the individuals as well. So let us talk about the budget statistically. Under the budget, our finance minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, said that Indian GDP will grow at a fancy rate of 9.2% in the upcoming financial year. So that is very good, because in the last few years, last 2 years, we saw that in 2020-21 there was a negative growth, and in the last year there was not a very good growth, uh, only 8 to 9% of whole year growth. But in the upcoming financial year, we will see massive growth on 9.2%. Although a base effect is there, but it is good as India will be the fastest growing economy in the world according to IMF. Talking about the budget, so how much that is the government spending? Well, it is. I am very proud to say that the Indian government has crossed the mark of $500 billion, and the government is going to spend about 525 billion US dollars in its various schemes in the financial year 2022-23. Talking about the fiscal deficit, because that is the thing that has bothered the government ever since we got independence, because because the government is not able to gather up the money that it wants to spend on its various schemes. So the major sources of government's earnings are taxes, are its earnings from various PSUs and also issuing bonds. But but the government is not able to earn as much as it spends. So there is a fiscal deficit of 6.4%. Recently, in the past 2 years, we have seen that the fiscal deficit of India has gone very high. Earlier, till 2019, our fiscal deficit have always been less than 5%. But now, due to the COVID effect, it has gone as high as 6.4%, and the government, according to our finance minister, we are looking forward to tackle it and bring it as soon as possible to at least 4 to 5%. So that will be very good for our country if that happens, because if there is a fiscal deficit, then the government has to issue bonds, that is indirectly taking loans from different countries and the citizens as well. And as there are reports, and the government is saying that 2022 will be the year in which the government has to repay various pending loans and bonds. So this will be the time to issue new fresh bonds from the world market and also and in the domestic market. So this will be very interesting because the government has to pay a lot of bonds. It's a previous pending bonds. So the government has to spend a lot of money from its foreign exchange reserves, and also issuing new bonds will be very uh, exciting to see because it is a thing that will affect the country in the coming 10 to 20 years. And talking about the effective capital expenditure, so that is one fourth of the total expenditure of the government. So what is effective capital expenditure? Effective capital expenditure is basically the money spent on infrastructure development. So today we are in an hour of need to expand our infrastructure as much as possible, because if we compare ourselves with the countries like China, USA, especially China, then China is a country known for its infrastructure, and that is why it has been always able to attract the manufacturing companies from the world. So today, India is also catching up, and India is also spending in infrastructure as high as 25% of its annual budget. So that is huge, and I think if this money is used efficiently without any corruption, then India can also reach up to the mark of various other current superpowers of the world. Also, talking about the taxes, the tax slabs, then there is no change. There is no change in income taxes. The middle class was expecting some relief from the government because in the COVID times, people are recovering. Are People were expecting some relief from the government, but the government said that no, we are focusing on some other long-term plans, and no money can be provided, and nothing such as relief can be provided to the citizens, because in the government's earning, we are still in the fiscal deficit, and also the major chunk, that is the 58% of total government earnings, comes from taxes. So if government loses that, then the government will not be able to spend in its various schemes. So next thing, and a very controversial thing, was crypto tax. So under the budget of this year, the government has introduced a tax of flat 30% on the cryptocurrency profits. That is huge. Uh, as we compare it with the other capital gain tax, the LTCG or the STCG, then this is a very huge tax, 30% flat. No matters if someone earns 100 rupees in a year as profit from cryptocurrency, he have to give tax. So the government has taxed cryptocurrency, and also a 1% TDS per transaction is also there on cryptocurrency transactions. So the government has taxed cryptocurrency finally, and as the cryptocurrency trading platforms are saying that finally the government has recognized cryptocurrency transactions as legal, because previously there was an ambiguity that are cryptocurrencies legal or illegal in India. So if government is taxing the cryptocurrency profits, then it clearly indicates that yes, they are legal in India, and there is nothing harm in transacting and keeping cryptocurrency as an financial tool. Also, there are some skeptical views about this taxation also, because if we talk about the stock market tax or the other capital gains tax, then the losses are also being deducted from the profits, and the net profit is taxable. But under this taxation of the government that it has introduced yesterday, no matter how much loss is someone making, if someone is making any profit under a certain transaction, then that will be taxed. No matter what are the losses, the net profit will not be taxed. A profit per transaction will be taxed. So that is a thing that will harm many of the traders in the cryptocurrency market, and it indicates that the government do not want the citizens of India to trade in the cryptocurrency market. Rather, the government wants that the people should buy government bonds, because the government will issue a lot of bonds this year, and the government wants to attract the citizens to buy its own government's bond. Talking about a very important factor of the budget is the defense allocation of funds. So if we talk if we talk about defense allocations, then 13.3% of India's entire national budget is defense expenditures. So that is huge. If we compare it with Pakistan, then it is 17%. Comparing it with China, then it is almost 15%. So we are not at par with them, but but we have increased it. We are certainly going towards that, because the total expenditure on defense has increased by almost 10% to 75 billion US dollars. So there is an increase in that, and with that there are some good initiatives also. Number one, that the whole research and development that the government will do with this defense budget, the 25% of that funds allocation will be given to the Indian companies and startups. So that is huge, because if Indian innovative startups get some funding from the government, then the Indian defense sector will completely revolutionize, and that is a step that has been taken, uh, keeping the long term effects in the accounts. So that is very good. Talking about another initiative in the defense budget, is that the total equipment expenditure that the government will do this year, out of that 68% of the deals or the expenditure will be given to the Indian companies. And that is also a good initiative taken by the government, because this clearly indicates that the government is trying to work hard towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat and also the Make in India scheme. Talking about some other key factors, some other highlights of national budget of India 2022-23, then the government will also issue green bonds this year. Also, the government has left some ambiguity towards that, but it has indicated that green bonds will be issued. So, what are green bonds? Green bonds are, as the name suggests, that the bonds will be issued for the green projects of India, the solar projects, hydro projects. Uh, so many things are going on in the country. So people or the international investors will be able to invest in these projects. So that is also very good. And by these things, India is also fulfilling its task task of the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, talking about some other factor, is that almost 2.7 billion US dollars of PLI uh, PLI scheme is launched for the solar manufacturing. The solar modules will be made in India, because if we talk about the current scenario, then India imported a lot of solar modules, and the manufactured solar things from countries like China, Singapore, but the government has launched uh, an incentive package for the Indian solar manufacturers as well. So that is also a welcoming step. Another thing, and a very major highlight of this budget, is the Ken Betwa project. So Ken and Betwa are two tributaries of the major river Yamuna, and those tributaries will be merged together to make a canal. And by making this canal, there will be a lot of betterment in the irrigation sector. Almost 9 lakh farmers of India will be benefited under this project, and the drinking water availability in the urban areas will also increase under this project. And not only this, the power production, the hydropower as well as the solar power production will also be a outcome of this project. And the government has uh, kept aside a fund of 44,000 crores. So that is also a good initiative. Talking about some other things, that is the border villages will also be set up, and the connectivity in the border areas will be increased, because this is a topic which was neglected by the government since last 75 years. And now the government is taking some good steps in developing the border areas, in which the overall connectivity and infrastructure, not only the military infrastructure, but also the populating those villages again. The border villages will be populated again, so that the uh, territorial integrity of India is maintained very well. And the last thing that I want to mention is that the post office the post office will also come. There are lakhs of post offices in India which provide financial features to various rural and semi-urban citizens of India, and those will come under the banking system. So this is also a welcoming step. It will it will increase overall efficiency of the uh, financial sector of India, especially the rural financial sector. So that was the key highlights of India's financial year 2022-23 national budget. And overall, if you see that the budget has been made by keeping the long term goals in mind, and but there are not any kind of relief for the middle class. And this is a thing that has that is being talked about also. The government, as in an interview, our finance minister also said that we are not giving any relief, but also we are not giving any other burden to the middle class. The as the tax slabs has also the taxes income taxes has also been not increased, rather they are not decreased also. So this is a thing that the government has to say, and that was about the budget. Thank you very much.